is the Investor Connect podcast program. This is Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of the show, in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, private equity, family offices, and many other investor groups for startups and growth companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for joining us. Well, hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Nader Fathi, the CEO of Enlil, a technology company based in Campbell, California, built out of the Shifa Fame Innovation Hub in Silicon Valley. Enlil is an AI-powered development traceability platform for MedTech designed to help medical device and digital health companies move faster without losing compliance. The platform pulls together in one place quality, product lifecycle, risk documentation, manufacturing, and regulatory traceability for the FDA and other agencies. So teams can work on a single connected product story from concept to commercialization. Nader, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Hal. It's great to be here.
Great. So where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Silicon Valley. We are in a city called Campbell, which is roughly about 40 miles south of San Francisco.
Great. Tell us more about the founding story behind Enlil and the problem that you came out to solve with it. How did you get here?
Sure. So Enlil is a portfolio of Shifa Med. Shifa Med is a medical innovation hub. Today, we have 5 companies who are building class 3 devices for cardio. And by the way, these companies are all independent delivery corporation companies. Superior Medical just last year raised $120 million. Another one is Acura, which raised about $56 million. So these companies are all working on cardio. And then we have 2 companies in our portfolio which are working on building devices for eye diseases, mostly glaucoma. So based on the need of this company, what happened was that they went and they basically built a software which basically became Enlil, which really helped the medical innovators to get all the way from concept all the way to design, all the way to what we call post-market surveillance. So that's how Enlil came about. And it was initially built internally. So it was used for these companies. And March of last year, I was hired by a chairman, Amer Salehiyeh, to basically take this commercial. And we are very excited to say, since March of last year, we added over 34 companies. Our AR has grown substantially, and we are replacing a lot of existing silos systems. So very exciting times at Enlil.
So tell us more how Enlil transforms complex environmental data into actionable intelligence for businesses and governments. The data is becoming really critical for these businesses. How do you manage it?
So, building a medical device is very tough. And the reason for that is because of all the compliance as well as all the complexity. Actually, in medical device, we see a lot of companies now moving into surgical robotics. And if you look at it, it's not only hardware, it's software, it's AI, it's sensors, and so on and so forth. So complexity is getting big. Of course, compliance like FDA is getting more complex as well. So, these companies, what they do is that they start usually with Excel or Google Drive or whatnot, and they may go and buy some silos product, try to put it together. And it's really difficult and it's expensive for them to get through the whole product lifecycle. A typical medtech company may take 6 years and over $60 million before they're actually ready to commercialize. So what we have done, we basically have built a unified software platform, which takes, the customer all the way from concept to design to validation to submission to FDA, and even after the product is in the market, to look at post-market surveillance. So that's what we offer in one comprehensive package. That's what Enlil brings to the table.
Well, you make good use of AI. Can you talk about the role of AI in modeling and data infrastructure for making these operational decisions?
Yeah, so we have a private LLM called Lilly, which sits on top of this data that we have. And what Lilly does basically does 3 things. Number 1, it comes back with searches. So for example, you may say, hey, what are all the equipment I'm using? Who is using this equipment? And when was the last time these people were trained? And AI is smart enough to go look at all your document and attachment of the document and come back with that. So that's number 1. The second thing AI is doing is actually creating reports for you. For example, based on my requirement, can you create my test protocol for me? And AI is really smart to do this. And last but not least, and I'm sure you have heard about the term of agentic AI, which is basically a self-independent program which wakes up in the middle of the night and does things for you. For example, FDA submission. I'm ready to submit to FDA, and let's go and look at all my documents, make sure I have everything, all my ducks in a row and ready to do that. So again, that's something Lilly does. Now, something unique about us is that our Lilly is a private LLM. Unlike ChatGPT, where this data may go to other places. Also, because of that, you may also see hallucination. This works only on your data, on our customers' data, and basically the data is secure and this LLM is private. So that's really what we do. We are very excited about AI because we think AI can really accelerate a lot of manual work which is being done today by these medtech innovators.
Well, can you talk about some key use cases where the Enlil's insights, really generated economic value?
Sure. So, the big one, again, as I mentioned, when FDA, wants an audit, they want to be able to look at all your documents, who signed off on it, how is it all integrated, and so on and so forth. Right. So again, we take the customer all the way from concept to bill of material. This could be hardware or software, but we see a lot of now software as a medical devices because of AI, all the way into, building it, right? So, we need to have integration, to products like SolidWorks or Onshape. We need to have integration with financial products like Bill.com or NetSuite and so on. So again, we help our customers to connect all the dots together in one single package, which, by the way, has been priced right. So they don't have to buy different products and, hire an army of IT to connect it together. This is all in one package. And then the other thing, which is really important here, our solution was built by MedTech for MedTech, right? A lot of people who are doing what we are doing, they started maybe in electronics or semiconductor, aerospace, and they're trying to force fit into MedTech. And MedTech, as you know, it's a whole different way of doing this. And again, because of the compliance is important. So our customers have told us that, hey, system like this can really help them with the redundancy and errors about 30 to 60% of the time, help them accelerate time to submission, and really help them to have a whole streamline of doing things. Actually, we're in the process of working with a particular investor, which is requiring their medtech companies to use our product the same way that people, VCs like to see you using Salesforce.com or other CRM instead of Excel. They're now saying, hey, we need you to use Enlil to make sure you're following the process and everything is connected together and it's easy to do traceability.
And how does it help you navigate the FDA pathways that medtech developers have to navigate? In what way does it help them there?
So number one, it makes sure that before you submit anything to FDA, everything lines up, right? So again, if you're submitting something to FDA, and for example, very simple example, you have something which is all in capital letters and then the same in the document, you have it in lowercase, FDA may raise a flag, is like, hey, why isn't this aligned, right? But also FDA, in the case of traceability, they may again, ask you a question about, hey, which equipment are you using? When was the last time it was upgraded? Who is using it? When was the last time this individual was trained? And all this document needs to be all lined up. And again, that's something our AI tool can very easily help our customer do this, right? And last but not least, I also want to talk about the concept and feasibility. Today, when you start building a medical device, today this is done in what we call an engineering workbook. And the problem with that, as you know, when the engineer leaves, that data and that knowledge leaves with him. We have a system to basically track this, and it's easy to monitor and it's easy to look to see what the process was.
Well, it sounds like it saves you money, and so that might reduce the fundraise the founder has to go through with the medtech device. Have you found a tie there?
Definitely, yeah. As I mentioned, two of the customers that I want to talk about, one is Superior Medical, the other one is Accura Medical. Both of these were able to raise funds. They have been our customers for some time, as well as being able to get what's called the 510K, which allows them to now commercialize those products. And again, this was all done with Enlil. And so as you know, until you get those compliance check marks, you will not be able to get a next round of financing, and you will not be able to commercialize your product. So this is a must-have product. This is not a nice-have. And by the way, because of this, we have a team across the globe. We have team not only in the US, but also India, Europe, and South America, because we do have to provide a 24/7 support. This is a mission critical application. Again, companies cannot get their medical device out the door without having all these systems in place. So very crucial to get that done.
So you work with a lot of these deep tech innovation companies making these med tech devices and similar ones. What lessons have you learned in, commercializing these innovations, and how do you deal with non-technical decision makers in this process?
So basically, what happens is that medical, as you know, a failure is not an option. So quality is paramount, right? So everything they do, they want to make sure it's documented, it's all there, it's tested, and everybody, by the way, has to sign each document before they pass it on to the next one. So being able to track all that is extremely important for them. But our customers at the end of the day, although they build different things. I mean, we have one customer who's building a mammogram machine. We have another one which is building a pump for a heart. We have another company which is building actually a mechanical heart. So they're all over the place. But what's common about all of them is that at the end of the day, they're really building products which saves lives. And by the way, that's what's so exciting about what we are doing at Enlil, because what we are doing is really a mission critical application. It's saving, lives and improving lives. So those are the things that we have learned. But the process is pretty much the same. It doesn't matter if you're building a class 2 or class 3 type medical device. They all go through the same process.
So data is a key component of these devices today, both for running the application and also monetization in so many ways. How does this tool help in putting together those analytic startups with data monetization or data usage?
Yeah, so first of all, let me talk about the type of customers. We sell to MedTech. That is our 100% focus. But we really focus at 3 different groups. Number one is what we call the OEMs. These are the people who put their logo on the devices that they build, but also contract manufacturers. We have a bunch of contract manufacturers who are building equipment or sub-equipment for the OEMs. They are also interested on this system because they have to, again, track the whole process and track different customers. And last but not least, we are also working with medtech consultants as well as other innovation hubs. I talk about what I call our parent company here, Shifa Med, is a medtech innovator. There are other hubs like that as well, which are using this, right? So again, within their organization, they want to make sure, for example, look at the components, right? Which components I'm using. There is this concept called LHR, which is a lot history record, which basically, if there is a recall, which lot did it came back from, so I can recall those very quickly before it gets to the customer's hand. So those are some of the commonality that you see and the data usage that our system provides.
So talk about the go-to-market strategies for selling these products. Who do you sell them to directly, and what's the challenge that you find today, and what's the opportunity that you see there?
Sure. So one of the first things I did, I came on board, I said, hey, this is an enterprise sale. It's a B2B sales. So we need to put some sales team together. So I hired a seasoned sales guy in Western US. Again, a lot of medtech companies are here in California, especially Southern California. We put one in East Coast, and then we also have one in Texas. I think those are the 3 areas that we are focusing on today. And these people, they all come from big companies such as Parametric Technology, Oracle, Siemens. They have sold this kind of solutions before. So the other thing we did is that we have built a very strong partnership organization. So our partners are other FDA consultants, they are contract manufacturers or design houses. And it's really a win-win because customers come to us and say, hey, do you know a good contract manufacturer, a medical contract manufacturer, and we can refer to them, and vice versa. So that's how we did it. So last year, our focus, Hal, was 100% on US. But you know what? Thanks to the net, people find you. So we actually closed a deal with a customer in India. We closed a customer in Singapore. And we're in the process of working with a group in Japan. And again, although we don't have anybody there, but they found us through the web and we're working with them. And our plan this year is actually expand internationally as well. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, we are raising funds to be able to expand our solution outside of US as well. And by the way, let me talk about this. Why international companies are interested? Because US is a much bigger market, but they are really not familiar with the FDA and the compliance. And our tool really helped these international companies to bring their market to the US. So that's the reason we're getting a lot of interest internationally as well.
Well, let's talk about the trends that you're dealing with today in the med tech space. One of them is the shift to AI-based systems, and talk about the challenges of putting AI into these systems.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, medtech equipment is getting more complex. And I'm sure you're familiar with a company called Intuitive Surgical. They build the first robotic, and actually one of their key patents after 20 some odd years expired. So you see a lot of companies now building surgical robotics. Actually, that's a very hot market. Now, the problem with surgical robotics is that it's very complex. I mean, it's not unusual for them to have about 100 printed circuit boards in there. They have to deal with AI. They have to work with sensors. And, again, these are mission critical. So complexity has become more and more important for these companies. And that's the reason they come to a system like us, which we are really not connecting silos as data together. Everything is in a unified platform, which makes it really easy for them to go through the process. But you are correct. I mean, we definitely see medical devices are getting more complex. AI is going to play a big role in here. The other thing which we see is what I call digital health. Again, your watch is going to, watch what you're doing, the ring and so on and so forth. So you're seeing a lot of AI role. And, again, how do I manage all this software as a medical device? How do I connect it all together? And when the FDA audit comes, how do I make sure that everything is aligned? So those are the things that our solution at Enlil brings to the table.
Well, great. Well, let's talk about your advice for founders who are building these med tech devices. What do you coach them to do before they go out to, raise that first round of funding and build that first prototype?
It is really important for the companies to start putting a system together. I'm talking about medtech companies here before they are ready to even go talk to a VC or even talk to FDA, right? A lot of the companies, start, as I mentioned, with Excel or some kind of a Google Drive or Box or whatever, and very quickly they get into trouble. I'll give you a real example. We have a customer that before we met him, we met with the VP of operations, VP of quality, and VP of R&D, and each of them had their own Excel sheet. And they told us, you know what, when we were building 50 units a year, that was okay. But now we're ramping up. We have to do 500 units a month, right? So guess what? Excel is no longer scalable. It's very error prone. So we do need a system like us, right? So my analogy is that when this genie leaves the bottle, it's very hard to put it back in there. So it's good to start having a process in place as you move on through the stages of the company.
Well, great. Well, it sounds like you have a great product and a great solution there. What's the next stage for you guys? What's the next greenfield to go after?
Yeah, so again, we are today 100% focused on medtech, and that's important. By the way, one of the things I have learned building companies for the last 30 years in Silicon Valley is two things. Number one, fall in love with the problem, not the solution. You see so many companies in the valley that they have a wonderful solution, but they don't understand the product. Our case, we really understand that product market fit. Okay, we know exactly what the issues with the medtech companies are, how they're struggling, and how can we help them. So that's really important. Now, said that, as I mentioned, the two focus I have for 2026, number one is to really leverage AI. And again, we are not after what I call the horizontal AI. We let Microsoft and OpenAI and all those guys worry about that piece there, but we're really building solutions which is leveraging AI to help companies get through that. So that's number one. Then the second area, as I mentioned, extend our footprint, right? And I think based on the feedback we're getting from international companies, again, Australia, Canada, Asia, they all want to come to the US because it's where the market is. We need to expand those areas. So those are really the top two focus, AI and global expansion.
That's great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Again, we are really good at what we're doing. I think the feedback from customers has been very positive. The fact that we have been replacing incumbent solutions, this is huge. And we now have customers who are signing 3-year contracts with us, which is fantastic. As you know, SaaS is not selling it once. You have to sell it multiple times. So the fact that they're putting the trust in our solution validates what we are doing. And would love to, your audience, if they are in the medtech business, for us to see how we can help them. Also, we are raising funds as well this year. So if anybody is interested to learn more about our investment plans, please reach out to me, and I would love to see how we can work together.
Great. Well, how best can listeners get back in touch with you?
The best is that our website is enlil.com, enlil.com, or you can email me, which is my first name, Nader, Nader, at enlil.com. And, I'm what they call the 24/7, 365 kind of a guy. I will make sure I respond back to you as soon as possible and really look for a synergy and for a win-win scenario here.
Great. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us today and want to thank you for your time and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Thank you so much, Hal. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your audience. Have a great day.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.